All right, and welcome to another MOG Nation interview.
Yay!
This is Chris. Chris Avellone is joining us from Obsidian Studios, and we're very excited to sit down and talk with you today.
Well, Drew, thank you very much. We're here at DragonCon. This is fantastic. Having a great time. Are you having a great time?
I am. I've seen some amazing cosplay.
You know what?
What's your favorite?
It's pretty scary here at DragonCon. You know what? The sheer range of Harley Quinns. I saw like rollerball, like roller derby Harley Quinn, and I was like, wow, okay.
I want to see that.
I'm sure she'll be around.
Yeah.
Fighting, doing the clothesline.
You know, we're just right outside. They had the R2-D2 booth, and they started. It's like they just sucked Star Wars characters in. All of a sudden, there was 3, and then 5, and then 2. They kind of had the rotunda filled. So it's pretty exciting. I'm very happy with it. Are you going to be cosplaying today?
I will not be. Only as myself.
As yourself.
Drew, how about you?
No. I have a Star Wars helmet. No.
You don't cosplay in secret? You sure?
No, I don't. I wish I did. I could make an admission, but no.
I like how you didn't even hesitate. You're like, you know what? I just don't do it.
We've got a lot of folks in our nation that do though, and they're going to be out there tonight. So
fantastic.
We're pretty stoked about it. So, all right. I want to start at the beginning.
All right.
Where did you begin with gaming? Because I heard that working in the video game industry, you were doing some tabletop stuff.
I was doing some tabletop stuff. So
tell me about that.
So Drew, here's the thing. Like, I really wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, and no one would ever game master a game. So they're like, well, we will play with you as long as you do all the work. And I'm like, I will settle for that because I really want to play D&D. So about 10 years of that, like the laziest players known to man, the laziest. Twee, Chris, you guys are lazy. Anyway, so I had all this material built up. I'm like, I've designed a lot of adventures, a lot of maps. I should probably try and submit these adventures because otherwise it's a shitload of wasted work.
Yes.
And so after about 30 or 40 rejections, eventually someone was like, you know what? We're really desperate to fill out our product lines. We're willing to publish that one thing that you sent us. And I'm like, thank God. And then from there, things took off.
So who was the first person to pick you up? Who was that first person?
It was Bruce Harlick of Hero Games. And he's like, we're doing like a Batman-style Champions Universe deal. And he's like, you know what? If you want to do a character book. And I was like, I would absolutely love to. And he really enjoyed it. And he was a great editor. And I really appreciate it. It was the threshold that opened everything up.
That's good. I mean, we actually have a big tabletop group that gets together on Friday nights over the internet.
Dude, it's so relaxing. We actually have one that runs at Obsidian on Tuesdays and Thursdays during lunch. The guys just like grab their meals, run to the room, shut the door, and they actually film it and actually put it up online. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, check that out, people. Go and find that online because that's excellent.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you move into video games. What was your first project?
The first project was actually a canceled project involving the Forgotten Realms of Dungeons & Dragons. That went on for a few months, got canceled. And then I got put on, to be quite frank, a not going well project called Descent to Undermountain, which was generally just a bad idea for Interplay. They were like, hey, we'll take the Descent engine, which is kind of like this multiplayer shoot-'em-up game, and we'll turn it into a dungeon crawl, and it was terrible. Like, unfortunately, like all the developers were awesome, they worked really hard, I love you guys, but the actual idea and premise for the project was just kind of flawed.
So did you get to that final? I mean, was that full release?
Yeah, it was full release, but it just took such a long time. So actually, halfway through I got moved off that project and then put on Planescape Torment, which I really wanted to do, which is why I came to Interplay in the first place. So like, you know what? We need someone to do the pre-production work, do the storyline, also have the character set up, so I just moved on to that.
So speaking of Planescape, are you going to do more with that? Is there any plan to
Yes, Drew,
expand?
I'm glad you asked that question. So even though we're not doing the actual Planescape D&D universe, In Exile started a Kickstarter a few months back that did very, very well. And they're actually going to do a spiritual successor to Torment called Torment Tides of Numenera. And it's actually using the Numenera setting that Monty Cook developed. And Monty Cook's like a huge D&D background, a huge RPG background. You can probably just Google him and find, because like I cannot recall all the details of Monty Cook's career, but it's huge.
Fairly well versed.
Yeah, and so it carries over a lot of themes from Torment in the sense of like a lot of really deep character interactions, a really strong storyline, strong companions, hopefully a much better combat system this time around. But yeah, so it's shaping up pretty well. All the design docs are really cool. All the people I've been working with are great. Yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
Right on. Now, the game that I really liked and was a little controversial, but was nice to be able to play.
Okay, all right.
I
this is gonna be good.
I wanted to talk about it, and I thought
it was a little subversive.
It was
just a bit.
Mixed reviews, mixed reactions, perhaps. But I really liked it, and I thought that where it ended up, and the community stepping in and doing a lot of these extra mods that have come out for it, What's your thought on that, just in terms of how the community took it and ran?
Yeah, actually, we had an opportunity to be on an interview with two of the guys that helped head up the, I think it was the total conversion of the Sith Lords mod that they did that took all the content that was still present, and they actually resurrected it and probably made it much better than it was originally intended to be. And those guys deserve a lot of credit, and I really, really appreciate it. And the fact that they went ahead and did that, I'm really, really grateful, because it was really painful to leave that stuff on the cutting room floor.
So after having that experience and sort of moving on from that, again, kind of the mixed reactions, what was your next project, and how did you sort of like get past that feeling of KOTOR 2 and get into the next one and just say, this is a brand new game, we're going to move on? Or
yeah, so basically the next project was Neverwinter Nights 2, and I didn't have that project up, but we recognized all the issues that led to Knights of the Republic 2. We're like, you know what? Let's address each one of those things. Let's try and make the ending as solid as we can. Make sure that we work it out with the publisher to get whatever additional time we need, additional resources. And Atari was really good to us at that time. Like, you know what? If you guys need a few more months to help complete this project, we're willing to stand there with you. And we really appreciate that they were willing to take the effort, because not all publishers want to hear that, you know, they need a little bit more time to wrap up a project. But Atari was really accommodating about that. So from then on, we actually just made a list of stuff that we wanted to address for future projects, because no customer should ever have to play for a game, or pay for a game, and not get the whole experience being delivered to them. I thought that no one should have to be subjected to that. And probably our most successful project with that was Dungeon Siege 3. Like, we developed the engine in house. We did a lot of the tool set technology in house, and that game came out really, really solid. So we're just trying to iterate over time and improve the experience.
Absolutely. Now, thinking about the Fallout series, so which Fallouts have you been involved in?
So that's a long list. So I was never involved with Fallout 1.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a misconception that I was. Tim Kaine, who was the project director on that, actually asked me if I wanted to be like a writer on it, and to this day I really regret that I had to say no. And I was like, and it was for like Descent to Undermountain, which I was like, but I gotta finish up the work on this project. But Fallout looks like so much more fun.
Yeah.
But then I worked on Fallout 2. I did like a new Reno and Vault City and all the special encounters. And the design work that I did for Fallout 2 actually ended up being really instrumental for Planescape, because so much of the design decisions that Tim and his team had made in Fallout were just brilliant. Like things like your stats can affect dialogue choices. Like if you're really stupid, suddenly all your dialogue changes. Like you sound like a moron. I'm like, why has no one tried to do this before? It's fucking brilliant. And like the way it changed the role-playing experience just by changing the stats of your character with every playthrough was amazing. So it was Fallout 2. Then Interplay attempted to do Fallout 3, which was called Van Buren. That went through 2 iterations, and I was the project lead for the first iteration. And then when I left Interplay, Josh Sawyer, who was the project director for New Vegas, he headed up Van Buren and did the second iteration on that. And then I was not involved with Fallout 3. Bethesda did a fantastic job with that. But we were involved with Fallout New Vegas. We took a lot of the stuff that we were doing for Van Buren, we played around with it, and we were like, hey, let's just put it in the Vegas world and have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, you already got it, right?
Oh, we loved it. It was great.
So New Vegas, what was your favorite part about that game? What was the favorite thing that maybe you designed or that you did on that project?
So there was a few things. So just to give credit where credit is due, I was finishing up Alpha Protocol at the time, so I actually came in on New Vegas like at the last half of the project. So writers like Travis Stout, Eric Fenstermaker, Josh Sawyer, they did a lot more of the work for Fallout than I ever did. But I had the fortune to contribute to one of the companions, Rosa Sharon Cassidy, and she was a lot of fun to write because she was actually the daughter of Cassidy that I wrote for Fallout 2.
Oh, very nice.
So I was able to translate a lot of his mannerisms into her, and I had a real blast with her. And like the fact that her entire perk is like the more she drinks whiskey, the tougher she gets. I'm like, this is just a fun character to write. So I had a good time with that. Although what I'm really proud of is I got a chance to contribute a lot more to the DLC content. So when it came to like Dead Money, Old World Blues, and Lonesome Road, I got a chance to sort of tell the player character's story before New Vegas even started, and then like play around with the plot lines for that. And like doing the DLC stuff was just a lot of fun.
Excellent, excellent. Now, what's coming up next? I see Project Eternity. I want to know more.
There's a lot of good stuff going on. So, okay, first off, we got South Park Stick of Truth going on, which is hilarious. And so the weird thing is, we actually took one of our 3D engines and we actually made a 2D game out of it. But when you play it, it's actually just like playing the show, but you get to interact with all the characters and whatnot. It's pretty funny. When you discuss things like how are the farting mechanics supposed to work.
I can imagine those meetings.
The design meetings are pretty crazy for that. So South Park's coming along really great.
Excellent.
We've got one secret project in the work, which I hope we can talk about sometime soon, but I'm not exactly sure when. Project Eternity is going great. The opportunity to go back to like an old school RPG like Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment, Icewind Dale has just been really invigorating for one of the studio. And then plus the fact it's through Kickstarter, and we're free to talk about all that stuff, like with the community, and get the support of the backers, has just been great for us. It's been a really huge morale booster.
For Kickstarter, because we're doing, we're talking with a lot of people that are kind of going towards that model, sort of crowdfunded.
Yep.
Do you think that's kind of the future with a lot of games that are going to be coming out, or do you think that it's more specific to the games like what you guys are designing and some of the other larger designers are going to break off and do themselves?
So it's tough to say. So I think about a year ago I was worried that Kickstarter exhaustion would set in and people would just not respond to new titles coming out, nor would the funding threshold ever raise above a certain level.
Sure.
But I think what kind of changed is like when they were doing the Veronica Mars movie Kickstarter, I think that ended up generating a lot more people's interest, like who normally wouldn't come to Kickstarter for games. Movies are a different beast. So I think the more comfortable people go with Kickstarter, the chances of the funding goals going up over time is something that I think is going to happen. And I think that's really encouraging because normally a lot of the game projects might be anywhere from a few $1,000s to like $60,000 to like we had the success of like about $4 million. But the fact in the future that you might be able to actually get backers to support more of a AAA title is entirely possible. Like a few years down the road, who knows? And maybe it is possible to do like a $20 million game, like if the word Firefly is associated with it. Which who would not put money on a Firefly game, or Josh Whedon getting the rights back to Firefly? Like that's like a ton of money.
I was going to ask you.
That would roll in immediately.
That's one of the questions that people wanted to know is if there was a Firefly MMO, would you play it?
Would I play it? Yeah, I not only would I play it, I would contact whoever's making it and go, you know what, I would just write for free. Tell me what I need to do.
Any involvement, yeah, exactly, right? So when you guys got that $4 million, was that number about what you were looking for, or did you decide to?
That was about 4 times what we expected. Okay,
Excellent.
But the weird thing was like our art director, Rob Nessler, so like before the Kickstarter, even got launched, he was like, you guys realize you're gonna hit your funding goal fast. And I'm like, Rob, that seems a little arrogant. You know what, maybe in about 15 days we might hit $1 million, and that would be great, because then we could fund the project, like we got everything. And then within almost about a day, like we had our funding goal, and then Rob just walked around the office going, I told you so. So Rob, you were right. I will say it.
Thank you very much for the time. Really
Drew,
appreciate it. And again, when the secret project is able to be talked about, we'll definitely be back in touch.
Drew, I would love to talk about it.
Awesome.
All right.
That's it for us, guys.